Welcome to the International Relations and Cooperation course. This is part 2 of lecture 1. So more recently, we've seen the rise of emerging economies, notably China and India, and this has been challenging the traditional dominance of Western countries. So the power shift is causing tensions and increasing the complexity of international relations. And we're going to be talking about these and looking at some cases over the next few weeks and months. So I mentioned globalization earlier on. So this is the exchange and interaction and sharing of technology advancements and also the interconnection of economies, societies, and culture. And this is intensified and really affects politics, economics, and social relations worldwide. So globalization, sometimes we think of it as a dirty word, but globalization has brought benefits such as economic growth and cultural exchange. But we have to remember that it has also led to issues like income inequality and cultural homogenization. We'll talk more about that. Another development has been the widening gap between the North and the South, so that North-South divide. So despite very significant development gains globally, which has raised many millions of people out of absolute poverty, there is substantial evidence that inequality between the world's richest and poorest countries is widening. So again, I'm just introducing some issues, some recent issues in international relations. A couple other things that we need to consider are terrorism and non-state actors. So non-state actors, such as terrorist groups and NGOs, have increasingly influenced international relations. The global nature of terrorism, particularly since the 9/11 attacks, that's led to international military and political cooperation against such threats. So the world actually came together after 9/11 to collaborate on trying to fight terrorism. We should also mention, as far as non-state actors, the multinational corporations. We're going to talk more about them and the influences they have on international relations, their involvement in international relations. Also non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, and intergovernmental organizations, so IGOs. So we'll talk about all of these. So multinational corporations are the business organizations which own or control their production or service base in at least one country other than their origin. There's something called the Black's Law Dictionary, and it suggests that a company or group should be considered a multinational corporation if it earns 25% or more of its revenue from out of the home country, from out of home country operations. Other issues or topics for international relations are climate change and environmental issues. Environmental degradation has become a major issue in international relations. The international community has made efforts to combat these problems, such as the Paris Agreement and also the Kyoto Protocol. Sadly, progress has been slow, but again, we'll talk more about this later. Other issues include the rapid advancement of digital technology, and this has created new arenas or new areas for international cooperation, but also conflict, including the issue of cybersecurity, digital rights. We'll talk about that, and also the digital economy. So a couple of more recent issues. And more recently, the global pandemic, particularly COVID-19, highlighted the need for international cooperation in healthcare and exposed some of the difficulties of coordinating a global response to this type of crisis. So in conclusion, international relations is a dynamic and continually evolving field. It addresses the key challenges that arise in an increasingly interconnected world, balancing national interests with global cooperation and addressing traditional issues of conflict and cooperation in light of new global trends. Here are a few more review questions, or two review questions. Again, these will be helpful as we move forward, or the answers to these will be helpful as we move forward. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this lecture has been informative and helps you understand the topic of international relations a little bit better. There are lecture notes, and you can follow up on that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. In this final slide, I give a brief overview of the course. We'll be using team-based learning, or TBL, which is used in medical schools and a lot of other university settings. Team-based learning has three core components. One are readiness assurance tests. So at the beginning of each lecture, at the beginning of each meeting, we will have a individual readiness assurance test, or IRAT. So you'll have 10 to 15, 20 questions that you answer on previous material. And then immediately after you finish the individual one, you will take it with your team members. And your team members will be working together throughout the semester. The other thing is application. There will always be some kind of output. So I will assign you a task or a product that your team has to work on together to show that you understand the material from the course. And also another core component is peer evaluation. You will have at least 2 or 3 opportunities to evaluate your other peers on how well they are contributing. But this also means that your partners, your team members, will have an opportunity to evaluate your effort and your contribution. So these are important parts of team-based learning. We'll also be using the ideas from the flipped classroom. This means that lectures, for as much as possible, will be outside of class. Not only lectures, but the reading assignments have to be done outside of class, and that way we can spend the class time discussing and going over and applying the material that we're learning. And finally, we'll also use a case study method, and we will look at certain case studies of international relations and try to discuss that and analyze it using the various tools that we've been learning. Good luck with the course, and I look forward to seeing you in class and in future lectures.